Hey everybody, it's Jim Prevost back with Embrace the Shake. Hope everybody had a wonderful holiday, Thanksgiving holiday. I'll speak to you tonight about Parkinson's disease and several different um, topics regarding or associated with Parkinson's disease. I'm going to refer to my notes tonight so I don't err in what I tell you. And I appreciate everybody coming on, Eleanor and my good friend Daryl. Good to see y'all. I'm going to talk about some diagnostic testing, some dystonia, which is muscle cramping, dyskinesia, which are involuntary muscle movements. Hey, Alex, good to see you. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. And I did. It was good to see my family. It's also good that my son's in the United States this holiday. Coach Keeter, always good to see you. Hope you and your lovely family were able to get together for the holidays. So let's go ahead and move on. Penny, so Gary's with you tonight. All righty. First thing I'd like to talk about is just to let you know a little bit about myself. I experienced what I would consider my first Parkinson's fall. My right leg, which has had some stability issues, gave out on me Friday night, and I fell down. Moose was in the living room with Mary Ann. I fell down and struck my knee against the floor, and it's essentially jammed my femur, my thigh bone up into my hip. And I tried to do the John Wayne a while and tough it out and swagger around the house, but ended up in the emergency room Friday night, and all the x-rays were good, but I'm just experiencing the general soreness in the hip. And Bruce Cox, Dr. Bruce Cox, our orthopedic surgeon for the Shelby High School football team and a close friend, was kind enough to come over to the emergency room after the football game. And congratulations to the Golden Lions, and congratulations to my good friend David Devine at Burns High School and the wonderful year they've had. Bruce came over to visit with me, and if things don't improve, then I'm going to be moving forward and having a CT scan. I'd like to thank the athletic trainers I consulted with at Limestone on their opinions, and they're always just fantastic to help me out, and I just can't say enough about that. And all the well wishes and everything from my friends at New and the Parkinson's bunch at boxing together. Um, moving on, first thing I'd like to talk about tonight is some information about a new testing system. And this new testing system received approval from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to further their testing groups. Excuse me. Boy, here it comes, Parkinsonian yawning. To expand the study to use an early detection of eye movements, nystagmus eye movements, as an early detection method in Parkinson's. Hey, Amy and Diane. Diane, I met with several of the current softball players at Limestone, and we talked about you and many of your teammates that played when we were all together at Limestone, and they were just amazed at how we took that program out of the ground, so to speak, and literally out of the ground, and gave it firm ground to be where they are today. Danny, good to see you, law enforcement officer, Limestone College. We got to support the Blue. Danny and his brave colleagues keep us safe at Limestone every day of the week, 24 hours a day. And Danny, appreciate you, friend. What you guys do is absolutely amazing. That's right. Davis, Chaves, Bigelow, and Belials, the big four cannons. Great days, Diane. Just great days. You've got to come visit and meet some of these wonderful folks. All righty, get to the matter at hand, and I'll call people out as they come on. I'm going to digress for a minute, as I normally do. We have started. Marion Lawrence, our marketing director for Embrace the Shake of Parkinson's disease. Marion is a student at Limestone that is working for our organization. Steve Palmer, wonderful linebacker, great man, my college roommate, Bob. Marion has started a Facebook page. It's called Embrace the Shake of Parkinson's disease. Marion is building that page probably as we speak. I'll be transferring a lot of information from this site and my own personal site and just link the two. Therefore, you can see the videos on that site as well. You'll recognize the moniker has our shirt, Embrace the Shake shirt. And Marion is also starting a GoFundMe account to help Embrace the Shake get a service dog for a daughter of a friend of mine. The dog's name is Biggie, and we're going to call it Bring Biggie Home. And we are going to raise $5,000, and that will pay for the training for Biggie and Maddie's dog. And I can't say thank you enough to Angela Connor, and all the folks at Rescue 22 who we link up with that have been so kind to help find Biggie for us. And Dee Hout down in Magic City Canine down in Miami, Florida, will be doing the training through her correctional facility training program. So we have a wide network of a lot of people working for folks with Parkinson's. And we've taken on a special project to help Maddie, who has a spinal disorder and has had a surgery to correct that ran into some difficulties to help her. So more will be coming out that on at a later time in a couple of days, and stay tuned on that. Moving back to the eye thing again, this system is called the Right Eye Vision System. And it's an eye tracking system that measures eye tremors. And this is something that is very subliminal in Parkinson's patients. It's also associated with a lack of blinking. Hey, Ashley, good to see you. Ashley was one of my sports medicine students. And as I've probably already told you, probably the best that ever walked through Shelby High School. She ran the clinic side for us. She's absolutely amazing. Then her husband's one of my former wrestlers, and so is her brother-in-law and her father-in-law. So just great tradition there, Deadman tradition. Like I said, this eye tracking system, and I have to look back and forth on my notes, measures the eye and the eye tremors. And hey, Libby, good to see you. In the eyes, that's very subliminal, and often trained neurologists miss this. They do pick up the lack of blinking, and you know that I don't blink very much, and they miss that, and they've learned through the studies that this system can pick up these very faint maneuvers or movements in the eye. And what happens there is that is an early indicator that an individual may have Parkinson's. Not guaranteed you do have it. Hey, Christy, good to see you. Thanks for coming on tonight. But they may have it. So it's another wonderful tool to help us. And I don't know if you're aware or not, but about 60% to 70%, depending on what you read, of Parkinson's patients or people that eventually are diagnosed with Parkinson's are misdiagnosed at least twice to three times with different disorders before they finally have been identified as a Parkinson's patient, or as we say in the South, um, if you catch the Parkinsons. I want to say again that Parkinson's is not a death sentence like it used to be. Some people always thought that, well, if you had Parkinson's, that you are going to die from it. Yes, it is a fact. It reduces your time on Earth. Hey, Whitney, good to see you. Kenneth, good to see you. Thanks for coming on. It does shorten your time, but it's not as significant as it was many years ago, because the medications and the treatments and the awareness has helped um, slow down the disease, and at the same time determine that um, Parkinson's disease itself, not the associated like dementias with it, are not responsible for somebody passing away. However, we do have to look at Lewy body dementia that is often associated with Parkinson's, and that does add a different type of um, avenue of Parkinsonian disease progression that does contribute to some of those loss of life. Some of the physicians that were involved in this study state and say, it's been my experience that Parkinson's patients often struggle for years before even going to a doctor. And then it may be sometime after um, after they're seen by a doctor that they are really diagnosed, not really diagnosed, but diagnosed appropriately. Um, I have to apologize. I'm a little shaky tonight. Um, the research has also found that the tremors in the eyes um, also can be related to other neurological disorders that are brain manifested, which means that are associated with brain, and often they're neurochemical, much like dopamine, and that we suffer from not have adequate amount of or function of, and acetylcholine, um, and the other the world shatterer, sugar uptake in the brain. Sugar uptake in the brain is a catalyst for our chemistries, and what I mean is that's like the energizer chemical in the brain that helps us function. Um, Moving on, this eye tracking technology, and I'm quoting, it not only measures the number of eye tremors, but it measures the frequency, which meaning how often, and the severity of the eye tremor. So let's say the eye's tremoring, much like my hand here, okay, and it also tests how long that tremor maintains a hypoglossal effect, meaning moving upward versus downward versus saccades laterally. Okay. So a lot of times you can have a eye that's moving around like this, but so very slightly, and this eye tracking system can pick that up. And what's very nice about that is that they can continue to use this eye tracking system post diagnosis and post medication as another indicator that whether they're making any progress, so to speak, with the medications. It's been in online since about October 2018, and it's moving forward in the progression. Um, the other information I do have on that system is that by measuring the saccades and following a different levels of Parkinson's patients. Hey, Don, good to see you today. Thanks for coming on. My regards to Brother Bill. Excuse me, good. I really apologize for that, but I can't predict when it comes and how often it happens. And thanks for being um, tolerant of that. But getting back to this, is that this type of studies or these type of studies can provide a statistical analysis, kind of like a survey monkey, um, of what patients are encountering as they progress or as their progressions are working to see if they stabilize. And it gives them more data as to how to treat the disease. And I'm kind of excited about this because the information came through the Parkinson's newsletter. At the same juncture, it comes along with an FDA endorsement. The company that is doing this is trying to recruit hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people at different levels of Parkinson's and those who suspect they have it. And I just have to, say congratulations to the company that's doing it and thank you, because it's like you're really pouring out your research and development dollars to encompass um, everybody that's involved. So thank you again um, for doing that. The next thing I want to bring on is some would say it's a side effect. Some people would say that it's a part of. Now, there's two types of dyskinesia. Which dyskinesia are involuntary muscle movements that are associated with Parkinson's. Dyskinesia is also involuntary muscle movements that can be related to medication dosage use, which is called tardive dyskinesia. The dyskinesia that we usually encounter is often seen in restless legs syndrome. It's often seen when we are fatigued and it just shows up. And as you've noticed, you've seen a little bit of that tonight, not much. Now, my friends that are on here tonight that do have Parkinson's pick it up immediately. And it can be a very small movement of a head or a movement that is not fluid, like a jerky movement. Um, it can be seen like associated with your tremors in your hands, you're shaking. And I'm going to demonstrate what happens to me sometimes is like when I'm really exhausted at night or early in the morning when I'm like haven't slept well and I'm in school, I'll jerk like this, or my hand movements aren't regular. I mean, I tremor a little bit, but they're very jerky movements, and I'm accentuating that. But I'm just trying to say it may be difficult for me to grab, and then I'll have a what looks like a spasm or a inappropriate movement for it to be fluid. Instead of being able to move out straight with my hand, I may move out in a different angle. I know I'm not explaining that very well, but that's the best I can do. Um, so dyskinesia, how does it impact your life? Sometimes it's caused me to dump food when I'm eating. If I'm shaking a little bit and I'm not chasing my food, then when I get it right close to my mouth, because I'm really pressing the range available in my joints, my food may veer away, and that has happened. So what I've had to do is I've had to lean over further to eat my food, and I don't mind telling you I'm very self conscious about that, and my students at Limestone are very used to seeing me do that sometimes, and that doesn't happen all the time. And the dyskinesia that is occurring in my neck, you can see, I mean, I'm, this is getting worse. and that's the flaccidity of my facial muscles. But this could causes, as far as swallowing issues as well, and sometimes some involuntary um, drooling when I talk, and that is very embarrassing. Then again, people that know, they understand, but it's very embarrassing when you're at a, like I was at a scholarship dinner for the college, Marianne and I. Um, um, I say it as my body is doing a reset when it happens. Thanks a lot for that. Dare almost steal that one. Um, I was at a scholarship dinner and I was plain ZZ top in my head, a sharp dressed man because I was looking good with a suit and a nice tie and shirt. And I'm a handsome feller anyway. And what happened was I was eating and then I drooled and it spilled on my clothes. And I was a little bit embarrassed by that. And one of the students that was sitting near me just reached up with the napkin and cleaned my jacket and said, Dr. Rivas, don't worry about that. Nobody saw it. And I thought that that was just absolutely marvelous of that student. Very kind. Um, so I'm going to show you the diagnostic sheet in case we have somebody on here tonight that's experiencing what they think is dyskinesia, and something that they can talk to their doctor about. So next time you go to the doctor, hey, Carmen, good to see you. Um, well, thank you very much, Alex. You're so sweet. Um, this is out of Parkinson's magazine, okay, that I get from Wake Forest University. They're very kind to get that to me, okay? And it provides a guide, and I'll take a screenshot of this and put it on the Embrace to Shake chart. But it gives you some cues to talk to your physician about. So this is how I best describe my symptoms. And you can check mark these symptoms. And what I would recommend is that you would date when you have these issues. So when you go see your physician, you can provide him with a log of what's going on with your dyskinesia. And it kind of gives him an idea of whether this is progressing or not. And then on a scale of 1 to 5, since my last visit, my systems have this, and this is called a VAS, okay, a visual analog scale. And hey, Pam Melton, good to see you tonight. Thanks for being on with me. This is a visual analog scale. And I apologize for my hands again. And what, as you can see, is you can associate how you feel um, with the happy and smiling and frowny face. You've seen this in doctor's office and emergency rooms, and then see the type of what you're seeing there, like the fidgeting is often equated with the resting legs. And I have what they call intention tremors. I shake inside. And sometimes when I sit still too long, I do rock back. Um, and then I have some of the uncontrolled sudden things. But anyway, that's a nice little log. And as you can see over here, if I can get it the right way, you can circle where you're having problems and frequency. And then it also provides more of a questionnaire for you that you can provide your physician. So we're gonna load this up somehow. I'll get Marion to do that to our Embrace the Shake of Parkinson's disease Facebook page, and this is just a wonderful sheet for you to communicate with your physician. And I'm gonna also send a sheet out as well that gives some signs and symptoms that you can use to communicate with your physician as well. Um, and this is just something that, that they put out um, from Wake Forest and this magazine that's not readily available unless you may search the internet. But I feel if we can put it on our site, the Embrace the Shake site, it will provide another avenue for families to have more empowerment. Um, Last thing I want to talk about is some statistics dealing with Parkinson's. And then I would like to offshoot a little bit to the caregivers. Some of the folks on um, tonight are caregivers. Hey, Tara, thank you so much for your um, kind text that you sent me. And I just think your son's just an absolutely handsome young man. He's just gonna just just golly, he's just absolutely breathtaking young man. And I hope he starts feeling better. I understand he's not been feeling well. He's probably got the Cleveland County crud. But anyway, here's some statistics I'd like to bring out. And um, first thing we're going to talk about is poop. 70% of the people with Parkinson's disease have serious issues with constipation. And this is to the point that they may average 2 and 3 times a year in the emergency room for impacture and subsequent sepsis. And this is because the intestinal walls lose their muscular tone to perform contractures, also known. Hey, Clarissa. Good to see you. Thanks for coming on. Clarissa's a nurse practitioner, just a wonderful lady, and likes Frank's hot sauce. Great days in the teacher's lounge having lunch together. And this constipation often has to be treated emergently. And then you see your physician for further medications, on further medications for the constipation. So that just adds another pill to your list of many. Hello, Haley. How you doing? Haley recently belted with her jujitsu, doing an incredible job learning a very tough martial art. And she's, one of my students, and she's a real motivator for me. And I've learned about dedication and hard work from her, and it's wonderful to see that. The rapid eye movement REM sleep is something that we lose. However, we have a tendency to act out our dreams. So if we do experience REM sleep, a lot of times the dreams that we have, we act them out. Like screaming, yelling, fighting imaginary objects. And that could also be due to the hallucinations that we experience. And that's kind of frightening to the spouse that lives with you if they may be hurt or injured unintentionally as you're thrashing. What appears to you to be very real is not. For those who have PTS, because now they removed the D from it. Kicking right, Penny. I'm sorry. Thanks for sharing that. Hey, Gerald, good to see you. Penny, feel free to jump in at any time to add to this as well, if you would. Daryl is, please do the same to jump in on that to help the conversation. And Penny and Daryl are experts on this, and they're seeing it from two ends. One is, having Parkinson's, and one is a caregiver. So, and God bless caregivers. Thank you, Penny, for being a dear friend to Mary Ann and helping us as well. And the non-motor symptoms that I want to talk about, the worsening of sense of smell and taste. not having the ability to taste, the things that you have in the past or have a changed taste. Excuse me. Some folks want to say that that's the medication. Well, a lot of people have that without the medication. Hello, Brother Don. Good to see you. Thanks for coming on tonight, my man. A real problem that creates falls for parkies is what they call orthostatic hypotension, which is a low blood pressure when you go from sit to stand, or you go from sit to stand and you're okay, and then you turn, it changes the blood pressure, and you crumble. That may have been what happened to me. I don't know. But I do know that I have fallen once before from orthostatic hypotension, and it was just a matter of a medication adjustment. But that is also something that we have to look out for because we can fall without reason. Again, I apologize for this. Moose down, plots, excuse me, plots. Good boy. So that's something that we do have to be concerned with, and not necessarily is it always sit to stand. It can be sit to stand and then positional twisting or movement. That's why a lot of us move a little bit in time, like quarter turns or eighth turns. It's called in blocking. 50% of us have this issues with depression. Gary falls backwards. That's the way most of us fall. And that's why in our class, our boxing class, Penny, we're going to go over on how to fall and tucking our arms and heads to protect us because, hitting your head against the floor is awful for anybody, but anybody with Parkinson's, it's not very good. And then the ugly D word, depression, another one that hangs out with Parkinson's folks is later dementia. And that's not good. And then the third D is disability. So us folks, we have got a lot to contend with, and often that depression can be associated with medication imbalances, just the imbalance, psychosocial imbalance of losing something every day, which is situational and environmental. So depression is a real issue for us. Going down that rabbit hole. 95% of us have fatigue and sleep issues, and one comes off the other. It's like a cycle. 60% have involuntary yawning. And then finally, my last statistic is hallucinations. And that's about 15 to 25% of folks have hallucinations. Sorry, I'm just my hearing aid. In that those hallucinations often are acted out during sleep. And now there's more of a prominence as it grows to concern with hallucinations and the studies that are finding them, that we actually can hallucinate during the course of the day, completely unexplained, whether it's a dopamine drop or a medication conflict, that we can just hallucinate. And what happens with those hallucinations is once again, they have to provide another medication to take care of that. So check mark another pill column. So that's what I want to talk about, some of the facts and symptoms of Parkinson's. I know I haven't touched on that. Women usually that have Parkinson's are usually diagnosed by tremor, and men are diagnosed primarily by bradykinesia. Women have a different effect mentally than men do. Women retain their verbal fluence and conversational tone and conversational abilities longer than men. We have a tendency to begin to mumble sooner and lose control of our auricular area, our oral area. And both men and women have trouble interpreting anger and surprise. Uh, Men are um, become very affect, flat affect, more than women as far as blank look. But we also have affect discrimination, which means we have a hard time determining whether somebody might be happy or sad or fearful. So there's a lot more problems concerning Parkinson's disease. Um, yeah, Gerald, that's a good question. Do you get dizzy at times while laying around? Yeah, sometimes. And here's the thing: rolling over is difficult for me. So if I try to like pop myself over on a roll, I can get dizzy doing that. I ambulate well. I shuffle without my dog. Um, and people, I've heard my friends say, well, you don't look like you have Parkinson's. Well, I've brought that up 1,000 times. It's because our symptoms continually change. So one day you can be walking really well, but your balance sucks. You can't roll over, or you can get dizzy when you turn over, or you can just get dizzy laying still. So, Gerald, if that persists, you can go on the internet and find out signs and symptoms of Parkinson's. And if you have more than three or more signs, you'll get assessed. And right now, you got one of them. I'm just being straightforward. If that's you or you have a friend, that's a sign. That's a very small sign. But yeah, good idea there, Penny. You got Barry help him with turnover so he can press against it. Does he use that for stabilization? The bed rail. Um, Again, Penny, thanks for jumping in on that. Okay. Yeah, go ahead and get assessed. Um, Not trying to scare you or anything, Gerald, but hey, you're still a young guy, and you run a business. And by the way, if you ever need anything, power wash, Gerald Jennings Sr. is your guy. Does great work. Um, Trustworthy, loyal, honest as the day is long, hard work, perfect product. Um, just an amazing guy. I've known Gerald since he was in high school. And gosh, that's what, 30 years, Gerald? Anyway, um, hey, Kirsty, good to see you. I want to say one thing in closing about uh, hey, Alicia Clinton. Damn it, hit my notes. Here's some caregiver stuff. Okay. Caregivers, take a break. Okay. And be honest with your Parky. Uh, hey, I just, I got to step away. I got to go to the mall, or I just got to go outside and take a walk. I think that's imperative because, you have to take care of yourself. And that's not being self centered. And Penny, please jump in on that if you would and give us some helpful hints because there are some folks with me tonight on blind view that are needing some help. Okay. Uh, if you don't take care of yourself, then you can't provide the care that you need for yourself, for your mental health, for your physical health. And then if you're trying to provide the same to your loved one who has Parkinson's, then you're not in the ball game. So now you have two casualties instead of one. Make sure that you surround yourself with a Merry Christmas to you too, Alicia. Alicia and I went to college limestone together. Um, I'm a little bit ahead of her, and she was a lot smarter than I am. She went through on a straight shot. I was there for a little extra time. Um, Make sure that you have a series of caregivers. As caregivers, make sure that you have a series of support personnel, not only support group, um, and at the same time, um, a ring of medical professionals that can help your loved one but also a ring of medical professionals that can help you, and that you can tell them, this is what I'm going through. Can you help me? So Gary and Penny and Daryl were kind enough to invite me to their support group to speak. And because Shelby doesn't have a support group, and our Parkinson's boxing group has become our support group, but this is in Belmont at the rehab facility there, and I was just really motivated to attend that. But I'm gonna now that I'm not going to be teaching as much at Limestone second semester, I'll have time to attend that, and therefore I can meet caregivers, Marianne, and I can meet other caregivers and build that caregiving network. And the final thing I'd like to talk about is getting organized. Let me see what Penny is saying. All right, there you go. There's the expert, Penny. Thank you so much. She gets out while Gary's watching the show, and um, it helps her get out. She's got a hobby, and you have your cats. So, way to go. Appreciate you letting us know that. And I'm gonna wrap it up here in a minute, I promise. But having a calendar, and make that calendar large, so if there's any visual problems with your loved one, that they can see it amply. Another thing, make it large enough to where they can contribute to that calendar, even though their handwriting may be micrographic, very small. Participating in scheduling helps us maintain our organizational higher order thinking skills. And Alicia, you're an educator, jump in on that if I've messed that up. Executive skills, higher order thinking, and organization. In addition to that, calendar, keep a folder in a marked place that's labeled in the house or up on the refrigerator, or something that has a series of phone numbers that the Parkinson and the patient caregiver can access. You have easy access. It's not a bad idea to notify law enforcement and EMS that your particular residence address has a Parkinson's patient in it. You don't want to advertise that by placing that on a window that there's a medical need in the house. Some say yes, some say no, but it also sets you up to be a crime victim. As you guys know, I have a service dog. I have that on my vehicle. That's for passerby safety, but I don't have that on my house. I want people to be alarmed when my 85-pound Labrador comes to the door. If they're banging on the door abruptly and they hear him and then they see him through the window if the blinds are up. So kind of sets the tone. All righty. So our Embrace the Shake. Hey, Louie, good to see you. Thanks for coming on tonight. Our Embrace the Shake of Parkinson's disease Facebook site is up, a Facebook page. Marin will be adding a calendar to that of our events. Our link to our GoFundMe page to help Maddie will be attached to that. And at the same time, Caitlin Boland and will be attached to ours as well, to doing those wonderful pieces of artwork that she's going to do for us. And so we've got a great network to raise funds to help other people as we move forward to support those with any type of movement disorders. So thanks again for coming on tonight. I appreciate your support. Love having all of you. You guys are just incredible folks. God bless America. Pray for our leaders and pray for our troops overseas and on friendly soil, protecting our borders, law enforcement, EMS, and fire, and also spend some time on your knees, taking time to pray for those that have fallen ill or have experienced losses this year. You all take care. Love you. And always remember, embrace the shape. Thank you and good night.